Hi everyone, it's Jenny from Spectrum Noir. Thanks for joining me today while I show you how to color this rose with your Spectrum Noir alcohol pens. This is what we're coloring. It's an image from Ink-a-Dink-a-Doo. It's very simple to do, so let's get started and I'll show you how I picked my colors right out of the package. So when I opened my package of reds, I went ahead and scribbled the colors right onto a piece of scrap paper. You can see that you have two different color combinations right out of the package ready to use. You have your DR3, your DR5, and your DR7, which are your dark reds. You notice that the lower the number, the lighter the color. So you have your DR3 as your lightest, your mid-tone you have a DR5, and for your shading and shadowing I have a DR7. We have the same over here with our coral reds, a light, a medium, and a dark. However, if you really want to mix things up and have more variety, then you can mix these two color families and you can have even more variations. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to use one of my coral reds as my highlight, and then I'm going to use my dark red 5 and my dark red 7. So let's get started on that. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to only color a portion of our rose, not the whole rose, but all you have to do is repeat the same steps that I did on each petal, and soon you'll have a completed image. So here is our image. I'm going to set that right down here, and we're going to get started. I like to take my lightest color first, and I add in a little bit of wetness to my paper, which is going to help my colors blend together as I get to my darker colors. You only want to color a small area at a time, because if you color all of the rose with your lightest color, then all of that ink has dried before you get to your next color. You really need to have fluid or wetness to blend your colors together. So here I have one petal done. Let's do a couple petals at a time. I go ahead and I do leave my white highlight there because that reminds me of where I'm working towards. I always work towards my highlight. So there we go. There's our first step. That was our CR8. Now I'm going to take my DR7. That is going to be my darkest color, and I'm going to add in some shading. I'm going to go underneath this lip because there's going to be a shadow underneath there. I'm going to add some dark down in here because inside the deep part of my rose is not going to get near as much light as the center portion. This petal, all the petals are half cylinder shapes. So the closest part to the sunlight is where it's going to be lighter on the actual petal. And so you notice it's kind of a half cylinder shape, and we're just going to put our highlight right here. So here I'm going to add a little bit of dark down in here. And that's going to help with the shaping of my petals. Now I'm going to go to my medium color, my DR5. Each of your colors, as they go lighter, have more alcohol in them. So this one here has more alcohol than this one down here. Alcohol is your solvent, and it will dilute your darker colors. So if you see that I use my DR5 on top of my DR7, it's going to dilute that color. Let's do it with a lighter color and you'll really see it more dramatic. There you go. You can see that it actually dilutes your darker color. And we're going to use this process to blend our colors together. So let's get our DR5 again, and we're going to blend these colors. We're going to dilute the edge of our darkest color, pulling it out towards our highlight. And now I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to dilute the edge of my dark red with my medium, working towards my highlight. Diluting that edge. Sometimes it takes a minute. It doesn't just magically happen. So you work it for a minute and it dilutes the edge, making a medium color, and pull it towards your center. Now I'm going to go to my original color that I used, my CR8, and I'm going to pull it together. I'm diluting the edge of my medium color this time with my lighter color. Until it blends together. And the same thing down here. If it it doesn't blend real well, don't be afraid to go back and add more of your medium color in and reblend it. So I purposely didn't blend it very nicely here, just so I could show you that you can go back to your medium color, add some more. This is adding more fluid again. And now I'm going to reblend it with my lighter color. You can see how much easier it is that second time. You just have a little bit more fluid, and it shows you the importance of having the fluid to blend the colors together. So there's a couple petals. Let's do a couple more real quick. I'm going to go ahead and add in my lightest color first. Now we're going to add in our darkest color, DR7. I'm going to add that shading in there. I'm going to go on the bottom layer and add some shadows. I'm going to come down in here, add some deep burgundy down in here, which is our DR7. Now we're going to go to our medium color, our DR5, and we're going to blend that. Notice I only put my medium here on the edge here because I don't want it as dark as my bottom layer. So I put my medium right here, diluting that dark color, pulling it towards my highlight. And then stepping back down to my lightest color and now diluting the edge of my medium color and pulling my two sides together. This one here had already dried, so it's taking a little bit longer to blend. Let's go ahead and add some more DR5 back in there. Might as well do this one because I know it's dried too. There you go. Now it's blending. And so there's the reds on my rose, and it gets very dramatic the more you get done. So now I'm going to show you a separate technique on how I did my greens. What I did on my greens is, again, the natural blending colors would be your D, G, which is dark green 1, dark green 2, and dark green 3. And here's my citrus greens. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my citrus green 2 from right here, and I'm going to use my DG3. I'm only going to use 2 colors, but I'm going to show you how to use them with a little bit of palette blending. So here's my palette. It's just an acrylic block. You can use a Ziploc baggie or a piece of acetate, anything you want. You just scribble your darkest color onto your palette. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of my dark color down here for deep shading on my leaf. I'm also going to do it on this leaf here, my little flower bud. And now if I took my citrus green, it's very far apart in color. If I try to blend this right into the darker color, it's not going to blend together very easily. It will actually work and it looks pretty, but it'll look prettier if I make myself a medium color. So you can see it's not blending really perfectly. We can make it look nicer by making a medium color that joins those two together. So I'm going to scoop up a little bit of my dark green, and now I'm going to color right next to that with my medium color now that I just made, and blend it together. You can see that if you actually take a little bit of your dark color and you start coloring with it, it starts out very dark and it uses it as it gets to the end of your stroke. So the more you color, the dark color comes off and you have not contaminated your nib. So don't be afraid of that. I don't want to see you scooping up a little bit of dark ink and then putting your lid right on, because then it's going to change the color of your entire marker as it wicks inside the marker. So if you're going to do some palette blending, go ahead and do it, but use the ink before you put your lid back on. So that's how I colored my rose today. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please come back to SpectrumNoir.com for more educational videos. Have a great day.